A traffic cop, and it's the 17th of June, which just means that I don't have to come to work tomorrow. Not that I'm trying to get out of working. I just like, occasionally being home with nowhere to be or do. It's called Saturday. And I hope you're doing well. I hope you've had a good week. It's this is our third live of the week. We didn't go on Tuesday and we didn't go on Thursday, so I haven't had my full dose of the community. I've missed y'all, and I've missed answering your questions, so I hope you got lots of them for me today. If you don't know who I am, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable at the Toronto Police Service here in Ontario, Canada. I work at traffic safety programs in traffic services. So what does that really mean? It means as part of my duties, I'm a social media and media relations officer, answering your traffic and police questions here, talking to the mainstream media, occasionally making an appearance on TV or the news. I do a lot of different things. Lots of exciting things we do happen right here on the internet with you. This is all about you, because if it wasn't for you asking questions, we wouldn't be answering questions. We'd have nothing to talk about. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Now, you can be watching us on one of many different platforms. Mind you, you could be watching on two. I'm not going to judge you as to how many windows you have open. You can watch us on TikTok. That's our number one place. We're about to hit 570,000, I should say, 570,000 followers. And to all of you who follow us on TikTok, thank you very much. We are also simultaneously casting on Instagram Live. We're on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. Now, if you're watching on Twitter, we love you too, but we can't hear you. And we want to hear you. We want to have questions and answers and dialogue. That's what this is all about. If you'd like to ask questions, it won't work on Twitter. It's still broken. Restream can't see you. So if you are watching there but want to talk to us, come over to YouTube or Twitch or any of the other platforms so you can do it. Now, Q&A is still broken on Twitter, or TikTok, I should say. We mentioned that a couple of times. If you are not able to answer questions or we don't get to you, it's not us trying to avoid you. It's simply that the Q&A function is broken. You may have better luck on one of the other platforms, so try us there too. I want to jump into some stuff and things, but first off, I want to address traffic enforcement in Toronto. We do that sort of thing. We actually go out and write tickets to folks who choose to break the law. They choose to make the roads unsafe or less safe due to the choices they make. What are those choices? Well, if they're engaged in the big four are speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, or impaired driving. Those are the driver behaviors that people engage in that are known to lead to serious injury and death on our roads. It's just a fact. If you go fast, there is a higher likelihood of a serious injury or death as a result, also a higher percentage chance of getting involved in a collision in the first place. So we ask that you don't speed. Pretty simple. Aggressive driving, oddly enough, that comes with a higher chance of becoming involved in a collision, and oddly enough, people get hurt when collisions occur. So again, we ask that you don't drive aggressively. These are simple things, folks. It's all the things that you learned when you got your license, and that's a fact. People argue with me. Oh, speeding doesn't kill. Yeah, it does. It really does. And they say, well, I got a fast car. I can stop fast. I can do things safe. It's less about what happens to you and more about what happens to the people you hit. And that's a thing. Joyce, good morning. How are you? Long time no see. Joyce is coming in through Facebook. Daniel says, what are your thoughts on no front plate? I'll get to you in just a second, Daniel. Something that I started talking about, all this Division Zero stuff and enforcement, I never actually mentioned where we are today. See, we have a Division Zero enforcement team. They are a group of dedicated professional officers who are traffic people at their core, and they go out to different areas of the city every single day trying to change driver behavior. They are trying to change and reduce the chances that someone will reoffend because they get caught. They catch them. They don't give out hugs. They give out tickets, and they do it for those big four offenses: speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and impaired driving. I mean, they'll do other things too, but those are their focus. That's their mandate. Change driver behavior, make it safer for everybody. Because Vision Zero says that we acknowledge that collisions will occur, the minor ones, but the serious ones, the ones that lead to serious injury and death, totally unacceptable and totally preventable through behavior. So, being that it's the 17th, today, officers are spending time in both 14 Division and 53 Division. That may not mean anything to you. So for those who know neighborhoods instead of divisions, Christie, Ossington, Annex, Little Italy, Lawrence Park, Yonge, Eglinton, Rosedale, Leaside, those are neighborhoods. Not all of the neighborhoods, but those are some of the neighborhoods where they'll be spending time. Okay, back to Daniel. What are your thoughts on no front plate? Well, it's against the law. You've got to have a front plate in the province of Ontario. We issue you the two of them. I should say the province issues you two of them, and they expect that you'll be displaying two of them. It doubles the chances that we're going to be able to identify a vehicle, whether it's coming or going, we'll see you. So you have to display it, and it has to be displayed in a conspicuous place in the front of the vehicle, not inside the front window, but on the actual front of your vehicle. And that's the deal. That's the deal. It's got to be there. I saw a video. It was a Porsche. It was actually, I think, Car and Driver on TikTok put up a video of a Porsche, or Porsche, I should say, with a vinyl sticker, a representation of an Ontario license plate. Not legal. It's not legal. It has to be the actual issued license plate, not a reasonable facsimile. There's no option for that. A lot of people don't like putting those front plates on because the car just doesn't look as groovy. I say groovy. It doesn't look as cool. That's the opinion. But it doesn't matter if it looks cool. You will end up getting charged. A ticket's $110 for not displaying your plate. And if you continuously choose, despite being ticketed, choose not to, put on a plate, you're probably going to get escalated. You're going to get a summons to court, and then the ticket value can go up because it's not that option to pay, directly. It's going to be talk to a judge or JP and explain yourself. Why don't you follow the rules? Yes, hydration, very, very important. Let's scroll back and see what we've been missing. I've got a whole bunch of stuff that's come out. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do what I've been doing for the last couple of lives. Well, I've had to get creative, folks. I've had to get creative since TikTok is failing me. I love TikTok. TikTok has been very good to me. They've been good to us, to our community, to the, allowing us to speak to so many of you, and it's valuable conversations. So as much as I'm aggravated right now with the lack of Q&A, I still love them. I'm just whining. Okay, let me scroll up to the top and see what we've been missing. This is where our tax dollars are going. That's from Soul Crusher 000. Some of your tax dollars are going to paying me to be here on TikTok answering your traffic and police questions. You know what? They're also paying someone to stand at the front desk and wait for someone to walk in to answer their questions. So I'm speaking to, let's see here, like 300-400 people right now. Yeah, across multiple platforms. It's being recorded so people can watch it later again. It's valuable. It's an investment, and it is doing what we do, which is serving the community. So for the folks who don't think that we should be here, you can scroll on. What else? We've got. I want to go for G2 test, but it's been only 8 months. I have done G1. Can I book a G2 test? I would suggest if it's been 8 months since you got your G1, then you most certainly should be trying to book your G2 because it's not going to be tomorrow. You have to wait at least 8 months if you've taken professional driving classes. You've taken a course with an approved instructor. Then you would only have to wait 8 months. It's only 12 months if you don't take any driver training. So that's a thing. I would be right away trying to book it. And as soon as you are ready, as soon as you are confident and believe that you can do that, then you should go ahead and book and take your test. And good luck to you. Things you can practice doing while you are learning to drive. Well, first of all, make sure you're doing everything you're supposed to. Obviously, you can be tested on shoulder checks and rearview mirror checks, and they're looking for all the safety stuff. Get out there and drive as much as you can. Obviously, make sure you're being supervised by a qualified G until you get your G2. Qualified G is someone who has their driver's license for at least a full G for at least 4 years. And that time, I should say 4 years experience, because it's the time for time going towards that qualifying period. It can start when they get their G2. It's a total of 4 years, and except for any time that they were suspended. If there was a suspension involved, it would, anyway, 4 dots, bottom right-hand corner beside their mini-me photo, then they'd be qualified. Make sure you don't violate that. That would be bad. Breaking any condition of your learner's permit, of your graduate licenses will result in 30-day suspension on your first conviction, 90-day on your second, and getting kicked right out of the graduated licensing program on your third. Emma says, good morning. I saw some messages from Q. Let's see here. We have a question from Sport Mod. There's a longer name. What if you fail the fitness test? I assume this is in relation to becoming a police officer. If you fail a fitness test, you won't be able to apply to become a police officer. You have to have an OACP certificate. That is the deal. Tracy says, good morning. Good morning, Tracy. How you doing? I saw your email. I haven't responded, but I saw your email. Good morning from southern Saskatchewan. Hey, I'm going to Saskatchewan soon. Not that soon, September. I'm scheduled to go to Saskatchewan. Or is it Saskatchewan or Saskatoon? I don't know what your abbreviation is. But I'm going to Saskatoon, and I'm going to Regina. I'm going to be doing some stuff and things there. Who has the Who has the right of road? Car turning left or car in front turning right? What do you mean? You're at an intersection, you're both turning in opposite directions? I don't know what your scenario is. Basically, it depends if who's crossing the path of vehicles. Both vehicles have to ensure that they can make that turn safely. They're both responsible for doing it right. Ticket for 5% tint all around. If 5% tint is actually more than just a ticket. That's a take your plates and you get to get towed home because your vehicle is unsafe for the road. Now 5%, if you're measuring it from 5% of light gets through versus only 5% of light being blocked. The legal limit for the windows left and right of the driver are no more than 30% light blockage. The windows in the rear you can put 5% tint on the back where only 5% gets through. That's for the rear windows. That's actually 95% tint where it's blocking 95% of the light. Rear window and the windows behind the driver, sure, that's okay. Windshield can have nothing. We haven't talked about tint in a while, so there you go. Let's see here. Anis says, the police can order you outside of a vehicle without needing suspicion, correct? What do you mean? Ordering you outside of a vehicle? What are we talking about here? That's Anis asking from Facebook. There's more to a story usually. A traffic stop, we don't usually order people out of a vehicle without reason. We don't usually need to. Good morning, was jamming to the 90s and didn't hear the notification. Big Jeff Fresh, what's going on, my friend? Coming in from YouTube, good to see you. So yes, and back to that tint question just to close it off. If you have tint on your windshield, which is not permitted, that's an unsafe vehicle. We won't let you continue on the road. You also can't prevent us from seeing inside. You can't use mirror tint and you can't use tint that obscures the interior of your vehicle in Ontario. Something that people want to pick their nose in private, and I'm sorry, we mess with that. You'll have to find other ways to pick your nose. What is this? What happens when someone is driving and the police car who hits them? Who's liable? Well, if a police car causes a collision, the police car is liable. If you cause a collision, like driving drunk into a police car, which happens more often than you might think, then you're responsible. It all depends on the situation. Every collision is investigated independently, and when it involves a police vehicle, there's a sergeant involved. So the officer who's assigned to investigates, presents that to a sergeant. The sergeant continues there, so there's no bias and there's no helping a friend out. The copper who caused the collision will get not only charged for the collision, likely they'll get disciplined as well. Doesn't happen very often, but it happens. What is this? Okay, 100. Good morning from Peterborough. Hey, Peterborough. Hope you're doing well. How's the weather in Peterborough? I mean, you're not in a different time zone, but you're far away. You're far enough away that I don't come visit very often. How many police cars have license plate scanners? This is a good question. Every police service is different, and there's a lot more coming. The automated plate scanners are coming, and they're coming to a police service near you. Toronto has a couple of them right now. I think there's two for sure that are employed in the service, and more than that, maybe in testing, but I don't know. I don't know beyond that. Shane Dunn wants to know, can police ticket or pull you over for avoiding a pothole? Well, if that avoidance of a pothole was in, dangerous maneuver, unsafe maneuver, then yeah, it's not the pothole that caused the collision. It was you're reacting to the pothole. And yes, if your driving behavior is unsafe, that could trigger a vehicle stop. Truth is, we may not see the pothole, but we'll see what you do, and then we'll investigate based on your actions. It might be acknowledged as, there's a giant pothole you would have lost your entire car in, or maybe it was really so unsafe that you might get a ticket. Additionally, we can stop anyone or any vehicle to check license status, insurance status, and sobriety. So even if you didn't go around a pothole, you could be pulled over. Let's see here. He doesn't answer questions on TikTok. We are at the bottom of the food chain here. That's from Twan. Apparently, you're not at the bottom of the food chain. I just read your question that isn't a question. It's just a statement. So I don't know what you're asking. But apparently you're inaccurate. I do answer questions. Master Technician, how you doing? The question box is not okay. This might be a thing that maybe Twan sees the Q&A. Maybe this is a Canada thing. Maybe people in other areas can see the Q&A is broken, folks. I'm sorry to say. So if you're entering things in a Q&A box, I can't see it. And just for giggles, I'm going to hit the Q&A box. This is what I say, and it's the same question I got last time when I did this test. Do you believe in true love? Why, yes. I even go to Disney, and I have daughters who like the princesses from Disney. And isn't every Disney movie about true love? All right, moving on. That awkward moment when TikTok gets the most focus out of all platforms. Let's see here. If a pothole causes damage to the car, is the driver responsible? Well, you have insurance on your vehicle, so that's something. But there is a program with the City of Toronto, and I assume other cities are also involved and have things like this. But you can go and apply to be compensated for the pothole because it is, to some degree, responsible. It's a responsibility of the city to maintain the roads. And if they don't, they damage your vehicle because of their negligence. I believe that they are covered. Now, your insurance would either cover you and or this program that I don't know very much about, but I know people who have received money from it, so it's a thing. Ticket for not telling Service Ontario color change of vehicle. I believe it's $110 for failing to update your ownership, whether it be address or vehicle color or displacement. If you have more, not displacement, but cylinders. So if you had a 4-cylinder that you put a 6-cylinder in, technically that's something you need to update the ministry of. Okay, let's see. Bunch of people following us. Hey, thanks for following us. And if you don't know who we are and what we do, we're the Toronto Police Service. I am a police officer with the Toronto Police Service, and we do this all the time, actually, Monday to Friday most often. We are here. Occasionally, I have to take a day off. I actually went on vacation for the first time in forever. I was away for 2 weeks, and we didn't do any lives while I was away, but we did a couple from the balcony of my hotel room. In any case, we do this on a regular basis. We're here to help you. We're here to answer your questions because we want you to be safe for drivers. We want the roads to be safer for everybody, drivers, pedestrians, cyclists, those vulnerable road users. We also want you to avoid getting tickets. It sounds crazy, right? The cops, we issue tickets. Why? Because we want to make it safer. If we make it safer, there's fewer tickets to write. Additionally, there's many things that people don't know are illegal. And if they just had access to a police officer on a regular basis where they could easily come and ask a question, even anonymously like it is here, you might be able to find out before you do something and avoid that doing something, which avoids a ticket. Yeah, it's a circular thing. Okay, good morning from Alliston, Ontario. How's it going, Brock? Brock's watching us on Facebook. Okay, here's one. Brent Sylvester wants to know, what are the rules about car stereo noise levels? So there's a charge under the Highway Traffic Act called unnecessary noise. And it's one of those that really applies in many different areas. If your stereo is really loud, you're breaking the law. If your exhaust system is really loud, same law being violated. If your engine or defect in the vehicle or chirping of your tires because you're squealing the wheels, all of those things create unnecessary noise. So what is necessary versus unnecessary? The amount of noise required to move your vehicle safely on the road is necessary. The amount of noise to showboat or do things because of modification, defect, or behavior are unnecessary. Stereo blasting, if I can feel it in my chest, and this is not a specific measurement for court, but if I'm sitting at the side of the road and I feel the pounding of your bass as you blast your stereo, that's too loud. Nobody wants to hear your stereo but you. Okay, maybe there might be 2 people in the audience who want to hear it besides you, but really it's for you. And if you're leaking and polluting the airwaves with your sound, whether it be your pop can muffler or your stereo, it's a problem, and you can be charged $110, and that's that. Jeremy Warner says, can motorcycles park on sidewalks? Can you get a ticket? So motorcycles are not permitted to park on sidewalks. This is my good friend Erin Urquhart, who is a parking enforcement officer and fellow TikToker for the Toronto Police. She'll tell you on her channel, TPS_bikecart or parking TPS, you can't. But yes, and I don't know what the parking ticket is because I don't do parking tickets. At least I have written few over the years, but I haven't done many. I don't know what the current rates are. Polluting the airwaves. I've got a confirmation that polluting the airwaves is an appropriate response, or at very least it made them laugh. Okay. Okay. A lot of people giving Tuan a hard time. I need to write my G, but I don't have a car. Well, you can actually borrow a car. You can go with mom, dad, cousin, the guy who lives down the street. Anybody who, as long as you're a legally licensed G2 driver, you can borrow a car. You can rent a car in some cases. You can also hire a driving instructor. Very often they will give you a sort of a prep before going to your test, and they'll drive you to the test, and you get to use their car for the test. So that's an option for you too. There's lots of options. You may have to get creative, but there's lots of options. What is this? Why are cops allowed to have drone window tint in BC, Canada, but drivers can't? I don't know anything about BC, Canada law. I just don't know what the specifics are about tint in BC. I can talk to you day in, day out about Ontario, but you'd need to talk to BC coppers about BC stuff. I know some people in Edmonton, Alberta. I know some people in Brooks, Alberta. I don't know any coppers on TikTok to send you to for British Columbia. So I am sorry. But I would suggest this. Talk to your local authorities. Ask them the question. What is this? Oh, someone wanted to know what the charge for driving their go-kart on the road is to get to their mail. Oh, it's funny. I think I saw this in a previous chat or conversation in a video. Ultimately, a go-kart is a motor vehicle. It is not. There's no exclusion for a go-kart use in Ontario, so you could be charged for driving a prohibited vehicle, an off-road vehicle, or a prohibited vehicle on a highway. You could be charged for having no insurance. That's a $25,000 to $25,000 charge for the first offense, and up to 6 months in jail. At the end of the day, I would suggest you don't do it. It's just not worth it. There's potentially other charges, assuming there's no, if you have a muffler, if you have proper working brakes. I don't know how far down the rabbit hole someone would take it, but you'd be putting yourself up and making yourself eligible for a whole bunch of not fun. Okay. Brent wants to know rules for modifying a car to have similar looks to a police car. What can I do and can't do? And so here's the deal. A car is a car is a car. If you're putting stickers on it to make it look like a police car, impersonating a police officer is a major deal. It's a big problem. We've had lots of issues with that in different provinces recently. One in particular that was tragic. So it's not something that is appreciated. It's something that obviously that's frowned upon. And what charges? Well, it depends. If you're saying police and you're putting yourself out there, expect problems. If you're just having a car that is used as a Caprice, a Crown Vic, a Ford Explorer, that's just a car. Putting something on it now, different provinces, different rules. Some provinces have outlined already. You can't put a push bumper. You can't put searchlights on. There's things that they have mandated that you can't do, and it's probably a good thing that they do that because many people go out there and impersonate and target people and misuse that vehicle for criminal purposes. So I would just avoid it. First of all, there's no benefit to you to look like a cop. If it's a movie car trailer where you're trailering it, if it's not a movie car, just don't do it. Again, there's no benefit. If it's security, put security on it. Like it should be appropriately labeled, not to confuse the public. Also, a lot of people don't like the police. You don't want to end up catching rounds when you don't have the ability to respond. Okay. Hey, Toxic Barcode has changed his name. Well, it was Wakanda. Now he's got a new name. Let's see here. What is the question here? Long time no see. No kidding. Can cops put handcuffs on teenagers while detained? So, can they put them on hard? I imagine you mean tightly. Handcuffs are not comfortable. I should make this very clear. I've been handcuffed as part of training. I don't like it. And it must be put on tightly or snugly to avoid having you more injured from having it loose, because they can do terrible things if you're trying to wriggle out and you have room to put pressure in the wrong places. But again, not comfortable, and in order to control and prevent escape, they have to be on quite snug. Not to the point of cutting off circulation. That's a problem. So it depends. But they're never going to be comfortable. All right, let's keep going back to TikTok. Oh, I got a bunch of questions that I've missed here on Instagram. I keep getting this question. It's the most popular question coming to me on lives. What is your favorite police cruiser and favorite car in general? So that's from the show We Do It. The show We Do It? So as a police car, I started as a police officer when Crown Vic was the car. That was it. And I like it. I'm used to it. It feels good. I'm a big guy. I'm 6'5". I got lots of leg room. There's no center console. I prefer that. Given what's available today, I'd probably pick one. But it's not available, so I can't have it. If you say cruiser really refers to the Harley Davidson, at least in Toronto. We called the cars Scouts and the cruisers were motorcycles. So I'd prefer a cruiser. I was a motor squad officer and I quite liked being on a motorcycle. It gave me lots of leg room. It was the most comfortable, except for when I crashed. That was bad. Mind you, that wasn't my fault. But moving on. I like the F-150. It fit in it real nice. I have a Suburban out of my office. That's very comfortable, but is it my favorite patrol vehicle? No. We have Ford Explorers. They are the primary vehicle right now, and I fit into it. So I'd have to go with that as the primary vehicle. My favorite car in general, I like trucks. I like things I fit into and I'm comfortable in. I love Porsches, grew up loving Porsches. I don't think I've driven one. It's not comfortable for me. So as much as I like to look at it, it's not something I want to own. Let's see here. Let's move on to what we got. I have my dad's old uniform, and I'm curious if it's illegal to wear it outside without his badge. I would avoid doing that. Impersonating a police officer without having the badge on regardless, you're looking for trouble. regardless if it's charges from police or someone having a problem with you. And ending up in a situation. Personating a police officer is not a good idea. Any laws on camber up in Ontario? Sure, unsafe vehicle. Depending on how deep that camber or what that angle is, it makes your vehicle, it changes your contact patch to the road, and it is unsafe. And we will pull your vehicle off the road. Take your plates. Why can't people under 16 drive? Because the law says you have to be at least 16 years old to drive on the road. Now, under 16, if you're on private property, we wouldn't be able to, even if we wanted to, we couldn't write you a ticket for it. So there's that. But driving on the road, you got to be licensed. Can't be licensed until you're 16. Cell phone radar detection devices. Can cops take your phone? So I'm not familiar with a cell phone radar detection device. A radar detector detects radar. A laser detector detects laser. If a phone is detecting something, it must have some kind of accessory. And we could take the accessory, not your phone necessarily. I don't think it would expand to the phone because that's an app and multi-use. But tell me more about this product because I've never heard of it. Now, if you're talking about something like a GPS that allows the sharing of information where people report where they see police officers, well, that's different. That's not a radar detection device. That's a social media and it's a communication device. That's different. And it wouldn't fall under the same thing, at least not in my opinion. But we can seize devices that are used to prevent police from measuring your speed. So if you're using jammers, that's seizable. We can search for it. We can search you. We can search the car. Lots of searching, and that's based on the belief that you have it. Okay, why do people treat the QEW like a racetrack? This is from someone coming that lives in Alberta. We have a problem in Ontario, and I'm sure it's a problem everywhere. In fact, I just came back from Florida, and it's a problem there too. Folks tend not to observe the speed limits. And I do something that makes people crazy. I do the speed limit. I set it and forget it. My cruise control is active from the moment I get on the highway. And I'm passed regularly like I'm not even moving. It's a problem. I'm trying to figure out ways to slow people down. And I'm thinking it should be just photo radar should come back or videotaping everybody and visiting them later because they're blatantly ignoring the rules. So how do we do that? What do you think? What do you think would slow people down? I'd like to know. Let me know in the comments. Let's see here. Boom. Interesting. Scrolling down. When are police justified in seizing a phone? Based on evidence, likely is the only place that I would seize a phone for evidence. I can't think of anything else that would do it. On streets with no sidewalks, what side of the street does a pedestrian walk on? When I walk to school, we're told to walk facing traffic. Now, most people walk with traffic. So actually, in the Highway Traffic Act, you can be charged for walking with traffic. You have to walk against traffic, or you should be running against traffic. And that's so that you can see the traffic. You're going to get wiped out if you're walking the same direction. You're putting all the responsibility on the driver, who may or may not see you. Walking into traffic allows you to have that ability to respond to the what if the driver's not paying attention. That's not to say that it's the victim who gets hit's fault if you are in fact a victim in the situation, but it does provide you the most safety. So if you're on the road, you should be going contraflow as a pedestrian. Okay. So apparently in Brandon, Manitoba, they had photo radar. We actually had photo radar in Ontario years ago, and it was removed. It was taken away, and maybe it should come back. Could you imagine how much money would be generated from the 5 gazillion? They'd run out of memory storage for all the people violating the rules. And Annis wants to know the same thing. Why don't we use more speed cameras? In Hamilton, there is none. Well, every municipality, when you talk about the city cameras, it's all run by the municipality. So everybody has to both enact get the laws in place, the bylaws or whatever that is governing to use and place them. And it's usually just in school zones. I know there's a big push to have more of them because it is an effective tool to reducing speed and ensure people are doing the right thing. Berta wants to know, are radar detectors illegal in Canada? Yeah, it's based on every province. Some provinces allow it. Ontario, you can't possess it. You can't even have it in your vehicle in the trunk, turned off, taped up and bubble. You can't have it. The only time you can have a radar detector or jammer in Ontario is if it's manufactured here. You can ship it out. So on a skid, wrapped up for shipping, brand new, sealed, that'd be the only time. What is this? I don't know what Skiddly Boop wants to ask me. Okay. Are you able to drive without a front bumper if you have a plate on a crash bar and still have a blink? So you got to have a bumper. You have to meet the safety requirements. I don't know. How do you have a crash bar if you don't have a bumper? You have to have a bumper. Let's see here. Passing on double lines, illegal or not recommended? Passing on double lines is not recommended in Ontario. It is not illegal, however, to drive, to cross a double line, unless there's a sign dictating something. So if it's like in the HOV lanes, there's a sign saying you can't do it. So if you do it, then you're breaking the rules. If you just cross a double line to pass someone, yeah, it's not advised. Double line says it's unsafe. And if you cause a collision, it's all on you. But, yeah, there you go. A question that popped up in the more, can you take a radar detector if the person is out of province? Yeah, you can still seize it. It's still the authority doesn't say only take away a radar detector from someone who's local. It's the law says you can't have it. All right. Scrolling through. Angela Topping says, don't forget to fill your blinker fluid. That's a very important. Signals matter, and so does my hydration. Okay. Can police ticket you for, we talked about that already, duplication. Shane was just utilizing multiple platforms. It's a good idea. I want to get a sparkly license plate cover that is thin and doesn't cover any part of the numbers or license plate itself. Is that legal? I live in Texas. Okay, I should tell you that, first of all, Texas is outside of my scope of knowledge when it comes to equipment rules. But I don't know how you would cover your license plate cover that is thin and doesn't cover any part of the numbers. Like, if it covers it, it covers. In Ontario, that would be illegal. So, but hello, Texas. How you doing? Thanks for coming to visit. Joyce says, Joyce has got a long message. I'm going to have to read that. Virtual reality cars and officers walking and driving like ghosts on road. That would slow people down. Yes, if we start projecting bodies onto the road, that might freak people out, though. What do we have here? I am just quickly reading Joyce's question about movers and Craigslist. Here's what I will... Okay, so Joyce, to answer your question about hiring movers from Craigslist, although not a traffic question, I will do my best to give you my opinion/policey answer. I have heard many horror stories about people who have hired movers on Craigslist where they agree to one price. As my friend was a victim to this. He agreed to move with one price, and then when they got to the next destination, the company or mover said, well, that was for one price, but now you have to pay us to get your stuff back, or you have to pay another price. So that was just the loading, but you have to pay an unloading, and they held their stuff ransom. Not good, but police had to get involved. And these people do this and travel over and take advantage of people all over. So you have to be very careful. Trusted movers will be more expensive, no doubt, but you are going to be safer and happier if you use one, I imagine. So I wish you the best on your move. If you at least find a mover and talk to your friends and family, maybe they've used a mover and can give you a recommendation based on experience. But taking somebody new off Craigslist, I'd be weary of. I'm sure there's lots of great people who advertise on Craigslist, but there's a lot of scammers out there too. Let's see here. What is this? Okay, lots and lots and lots of questions. Motorcycle season, is lane splitting legal or no? In Ontario, no, it's not. It's very often going to result in a charge of careless driving. But it is motorcycle season, and we would like everyone to pay attention. We say, look twice, save a life. People aren't used to seeing motorcycles. They are smaller than cars, and very often a single headlight looks like what a car looks like at a distance, even though it's right behind you. So for those in cages, those cagers in cars, people who are out there on the road, please be kind. Now, obviously, motorcycle riders, please ride responsibly. Don't be, speeding all over the place and becoming an issue. We've had far too many deaths on our roads this year already. in relation to motorcycle riding, and very often it's a rider who is speeding or causing an issue for themselves. And that's not to say people are very sensitive about blaming victims. Well, if you cause a collision and you end your life, are you a victim or are you the cause of it? I don't know. They died. I don't know if they're the victim. If you choose to drive excessively fast, if you drive beyond your abilities, you're making a choice. And we don't want anyone to die, so we would like to, everyone to be safe. But they have to be part of that safety plan. They have to drive appropriately. And wheelies and stunting and doing 150 and a 40, these things happen all the time. And then we go, I don't know why they got hurt. They got hurt because they drove a certain way. Very unfortunate. So it's Motorcycle Safety Month. No, it's not Motorcycle. Actually, you know what? It is Motorcycle Safety Month. I got so many things going on. I forget what title goes with what action. The truth is we are in the midst of a safety campaign. So we are always looking for people who are choosing to drive irresponsibly or put others at risk. And we're charging people for that. So please be responsible around motorcycles and please be responsible on motorcycles. Okay, I'm gonna get off my soapbox. What is this? My dad works for the TCP. Cool. Can I drink some tequila and drive my bike? So if you're talking about riding a bicycle with no electric power, not an e-bike, then although it's unsafe, there's no criminal charge for impaired operation for a bicycle. If you are riding an e-bike, however, that falls under the criminal code as a motor vehicle, and you can be charged, and we do charge people. Anything other than muscular power, electric skateboard, one wheel, motorcycle, if it's electric, if it's gas powered, if it doesn't require muscular input, that's a motor vehicle. And yeah, you get arrested for that. In Florida, I've had the opportunity to review the quick reference guide from Florida, talking about the traffic laws there. You can get charged on a pedal bike for impaired operation. It's really cool. I would never have expected that, but it makes sense. You're putting your life at risk. You're putting the lives of others at risk. Even if you're unlikely to kill somebody because you're riding your bicycle drunk, the likelihood of you becoming a victim or the involved person in a collision, which then mentally affects someone who may even kill you, they're the victim. You put yourself in a position where you get killed by someone who's just driving around because you fell into their path. Yeah, you died, but you have now victimized that person. It's a different spin, but it makes sense why it's criminal. Let's see what's going on here. How much faster? Oh, this is always a popular question. How much faster do you have to go above the speed limit to get stopped and ticketed? Well, the truth is it depends. Depends on every officer. Everyone's going to make their own decision as to what their threshold is, as to what is, I don't want to say interesting to them, but what is maybe tickles their fancy. I don't know what intro we can use for that doesn't offend somebody. Truth is that it is discretion of the officer. If the officer says, I'm not going to touch anybody until they're at least 5 kilometers over or 15 kilometers over or 25 kilometers and over, it depends. So you can't bank on it. And the truth is you shouldn't be speeding at all. You should, because 1 kilometer over is speeding. I know people don't like hearing it, but it's speeding. I can charge you for 1K over. I wouldn't do that, but I could. And the ticket's like $4 or something. I don't know. Still a ticket, still cause your insurance to go up. What is this? Boom, boom, boom. What is this? What are the rules to drive in heavy rain and storms? Be careful. We suggest reducing your speed by 10 kilometers an hour, at least. But you have to drive to your abilities. You have to drive to the road conditions. If it is torrential rain and you can't see, maybe you should pull over and not drive. At the end of the day, if you cause a collision or you're involved in a collision, even if the rain or ice or conditions are bad, you're still responsible for it. Okay. All right, let's scroll down. We talked about that. Twan is still complaining that I skip every comment, but I haven't seen a comment from him that is a question yet. Apparently his are the invisible questions. Is Toronto Police hiring? Oh, what a perfect segue. Yes, the Toronto Police is currently seeking applicants for police constable. That's what's cadet in training for police cadet in training. I don't know what the official title is anymore. Come join the Toronto Police. www.torontopolice.on.ca/careers will bring you to our information page. You can look up civilian jobs, uniform jobs, volunteer jobs. Check back frequently because there are lots of different positions always opening, because you don't have to join as a police officer if that's not your bag. Maybe you want to to be an accountant, or maybe you are an accountant. I was talking about accountants. Maybe you want to be in our financial services. It's completely nothing to do with policing. Maybe you are an accountant who wants to become a police officer. Hey, that's a great experience, a life experience and skill to bring to our trade because we have financial crime that we investigate. Maybe you want to be involved in our IT department. We have mechanics. We have all sorts of things, and we are a phenomenal company to work for. We're an organization that treats its members well, that is good for a family. It's good for people who don't have families. It's good to work here. I've been doing it for 22-ish years. I love it. I like going to work every morning. You could too. It is not easy to get hired. It is a competitive process, so learn what you need to do to get hired. And there are recruiters, there are people who can coach you because we want to hire good people. So go check out that website, www.torontopolice.on.ca/careers. Additionally, you can talk to a recruiter, speak to the people at Talent Acquisition. They are here to help. And we have an episode that we just aired. We have a podcast. It's episode 6 of TPS Traffic Jam. We spoke to them for an hour. We took questions from TikTok and we posted it. So go check it out. Oh, and parking enforcement is going to be hiring soon. I think they're looking for 40 parking enforcement officers, uniformed civilians. Okay. Can you people look? We talked about this. Oh, Twan says, I don't even look at the TikTok live because I've copied and pasted. And I've got TikTok, I can't show you, but I've got TikTok loaded up on a website. So I'm not looking at my phone because it goes by too quickly and everything's tiny. I'm looking at everything on a big screen. This is why I'm not staring. This is a great way to, this was a tip that another TikToker suggested, and I've been doing it lately because of the Q&A. If a Q&A works, I'd be doing everything on screen. Since it doesn't work, I'm looking. I've got a website loaded with TikTok on it using my VoiceOver Cop account, and I can see myself, which is totally distracting. But I can see myself, and I can see in large print all of the questions coming up. And what I've been doing is copying and pasting it into Word so it doesn't keep scrolling out of my view because it moves very, very quickly. Okay, does TPS do ride-alongs? That's. Is that LM? Is that Giancarlo? We have in the past. I don't believe we're doing them right now. And it would have to be organized. They do a background check to clear you. And if they were willing to do it, whether because you were looking to get involved in policing or you're a student or somebody in the media, it could happen. I just don't know if it's happening right now. What is this? When driving a big vehicle and stopped at a red light, a cyclist goes around in front. Is it okay? Well, that cyclist is likely going to get smushed when you hit the gas and you've never seen them. And that'll come out in an investigation. But that's very dangerous, obviously. So is it okay? No, it's not okay. Cyclists need to be aware of the fact that big vehicles can't actually see them. People ask silly questions sometimes, especially. So for the folks who are asking me if I've been on the road, if I've been involved in any of the events happening, in Ottawa, I am not on the road. I am an officer who works inside the building. I was injured in a motorcycle collision. I don't currently patrol, which is one of the reasons I've managed to get involved with social media because I have not been able to. I had to find ways of contributing, and there's interesting ways to do things. A lot of different experiences. I worked at the chief's office for a period of time, or at least an area that's under the chief's office. And I came back here and we started doing the social media, and then things blew up. Okay, are we hiring mechanics right now? I don't believe we are. We did just have a hiring process, and there were a lot of applicants, and I don't know how many they actually hired, but we do regularly hire them. What is the difference between a victim and a vulnerable person when it comes to a collision? Well, a victim, it's funny when you say that. So someone who is involved in a collision is involved in a collision. I would say the victim is the person who, through no fault of their own, became involved. Someone who caused the collision, I wouldn't call them a victim. That's just so. Very often we say if a person who was hit. Or some person who caused the collision was dressed differently, whether it be a cyclist, a motorcyclist, a pedestrian, if they were dressed differently, maybe they would be seen. Okay, that could be victim blaming. But if we talk about the person who was driving erratically on a bicycle or jumped into traffic, yeah, they got hit, but they caused the collision. Like, it's different. They're not, to me, the victim. Maybe someone will argue with me, but that is my opinion. Okay. Question, will I ever go back on the road, onto patrol? I don't know. I want to. I want to get back into to full duties. I want to, even if I stay in this role, I'd like to eventually get to the point where I'm back to 100%. So I continuously go to physiotherapy and work to that goal. But I don't know. I hope so. I miss the road. I don't want to give up on you guys, but I also miss the road. Let's see here. Are you able to look up licenses from vehicles of other provinces or the United States? Yes, we can. We have agreements in place. The governments have agreements, so they can look up our stuff. We can look up their stuff. We can see American plates, plates from other provinces. And if for whatever reason they weren't on the same system or accessible electronically, we can call them. We can send them messages. There are ways of doing it. There's very few that aren't linked in automatically, but absolutely we can. Even international stuff. What is this? How should photographers safely and legally get rollers of their cars? That's a great question. I have a video that's over 650,000 views at this point, and it's about it's basically commenting on a dash cam video of a vehicle that's traveling southbound on the DVP in front of a Lamborghini, and lo and behold, the driver is sticking the passenger is sticking half his body out the window, hanging out with a camera, DSLR from the looks of it, taking photo and or video. How would that person safely have done it? Well, first off, there's a lot of technology out there that allows remote activation of a camera. I know people don't want to spend money on these things. It's expensive. It's complicated. I just need 5 shots. What do I got to spend money and invest on a rig that attaches to my vehicle? There's a ton of different options. Professional photographers who do this professionally, that specialize in this, invest in the appropriate equipment to do things safely and legally. Another way to do it, you would get a license, you'd close the road, you'd do things properly. It costs money, but legally and safely, you'd be able to do that. You could also rent a track, go on the track and get rollers. The truth is, hanging out the window not wearing your seatbelt is never a good idea, and it's not safe, it's not legal. Don't do it. I get it. You want nice car pictures. Use a gimbal. I have a DJI. Now, photo sensor aside, my DJI Pocket Osmo is not the best example. It's a small sensor. But you could use something that allows you to control remotely, like a Ronin with a DSLR, where you're controlling it from inside the vehicle. You'd have to have multiple people, one person to hold it, one person to control it, but you could do it remotely. There are ways to do things safely and legally. Okay. I heard from someone that you can carry a digital copy of a license, not in Ontario. If your province or state issues electronic copies, then they'll be accepted. Ontario does not issue an electronic copy. You must carry your actual physical copy of your and surrender it upon demand for reasonable inspection by a police officer. Until there is a law change, until there is a safe electronic copy, Ontario will not accept it. Now, you can provide an electronic copy of your insurance document, as long as your insurance company provides that document in an electronic form. Now, I don't mean that it's a PDF in your email. I actually thought that's what they meant. It turns out it's an app that has to be, for security reasons, it has to be something that we can prove is unaltered. It's easy to fake a PDF. So, yeah, it's a thing. Is it illegal to force celebrities to have pure dark tinted windows on their cars? What? Why would anyone have to have a pure dark? No, I don't know why. The question is strange to me. There is nothing to suggest that you have to have tinted windows. In fact, we prevent people from having tinted windows. Now, the rear of the vehicle, limo tint, you can totally have limo tint in the rear to black out those windows, because you don't have to have visible windows in the back. You do have to have a clear view of the rear of the vehicle. You have to have at least one mirror view to the rear. That's it. So if your window in the back is blacked out, think about a panel truck. They don't have rear view mirrors. They have doors with no mirrors because they're roll doors, but they have side mirrors. You have to have one mirror minimum according to the HTA in Ontario. Can I be pulled over for the appearance of my car? Like it's ugly? Can we pull it over because we go, wow, that's ugly? No. That's not a sufficient reason. If it appears to be unsafe, yeah, we can pull you over because we're going to check to see if it's safe. Is it too low? Is it going to make sure that there's no tire rub? If it's safe. If it's unsafe, we're going to take your license plates. We're not going to let you drive away. So yeah, we can pull you over because your vehicle appears to be unsafe. Now, we may not end up taking your plates because after we inspect it, it may not be unsafe. But at very least, you can be pulled over to ensure that your vehicle is safe. How long have you worked for Metro? So I have had I'm in my 22nd year. I joined it's 2022. It's 22 years. I started in 2000. I started as a volunteer, as an auxiliary police constable. By the way, shout out to all the auxiliaries out there, volunteers, reserve officers. You guys are awesome, serving your community, contributing in a positive way. That is a fantastic volunteer position if you're looking for one. I volunteered for many years, but it didn't take me very long before not only did I volunteer, but I had joined as a special constable. I joined as a court officer involved in court security and prisoner transportation. That's something I did. I did both of those roles for a number of years. And then in 2012, I patched over. I traded 2 uniforms into one, became a police officer, and the rest is history. So 22 years with the service. Let's see here. If I'm not insured on my dad's car, but insured on mine, am I still able to drive his car? This is an answer I'm going to give you specific to Ontario. I don't know how it is in other provinces or in the United States, but in Ontario, we insure vehicles. We don't insure people. If you had insurance, if the vehicle was insured, then any licensed driver, according to, from a police perspective, could operate that vehicle with permission. If you have your own vehicle, if you were involved in a collision, your insurance could actually cover that vehicle. Otherwise, it would be only the vehicle itself's insurance. The one thing that is something to consider is if you live with your parent and you don't have your own vehicle, the insurance company may want you to be listed on the insurance policy, but that's it. End of the day, if the vehicle is licensed or insured for the road and licensed to operate on the road, and you have a full driver's license or a driver's license that permits you to operate it with permission, yes, you can. The only difference is that the whole thing that you said, you also have insurance. And if you also have insurance, then you might be able to help them out by taking responsibility and not have it affect their insurance, but that's a different story. Hello, officer. What is the age cutoff to become a police officer? The answer is there isn't one anymore. We don't age people out anymore in Ontario. So, maybe that's even countrywide, I'm not sure. But you can work here. When I joined up, when I converted and switched over from court officer to police constable, I was 38, I think. And there were people in my class that were in their 50s. So there's really nothing. As long as you can pass the physical, pass the academic, and everything else that goes with it, you can become a police officer. So if it's your dream, do it. Okay. What we got here? Probably shouldn't answer insurance questions. Refer them to the company. We've had many insurance people on the show. We've had lots of people. This isn't something that we've never discussed. But there's a legal side of it, and then there's an insurance side of it. So things that I'm comfortable answering for Ontario residents, I'm comfortable answering. If at the end of the day, should you speak to an insurance company, you should always get and speak to an insurance company. But if the vehicle is licensed and insured, any licensed person with permission can operate it, unless, of course, your insurance company, and this is where it comes to interesting. An insurance company might say that you live with someone named Bob, and Bob is a bad guy. Bob has a bad driving record, and they know that you live with Bob. They could say Bob can't operate the vehicle. Now, legally, I pull you over and I see Bob behind the wheel. It doesn't matter what the insurance company says. That's a legal driver who is licensed and is operating your vehicle. I can't write him a ticket for no insurance or for driving a vehicle that he's not listed under. In fact, we'd never have that information. But if Bob gets into a collision, guess what? The insurance company will say, Bob was driving. Yeah, we told you not to let him drive. We're not covering your vehicle. So that's the thing. What do we got here? Juice says, you have a fantastic radio voice. Well, thank you very much. I've been working on it my whole life. It's mine. No filters, no edits. No, but thank you very much. I appreciate it. Canuck Canoe Catfishing says, DUI on a bicycle, ? Not in Ontario, not in Canada, I should say. If the bicycle is pedal power only, you can't be charged for DUI. You could be charged for other things, but not driving while impaired. In Florida, which is just going over their traffic manual, you could be. It's a criminal offense. Let's see here. Oh, yes. I see the follow-up question. Legally, you can drive, but it doesn't mean the company will reimburse you, is what I mean. You're absolutely right, and I'm glad that you triggered me to talk and speak more in depth about it. Can you drive a car with no muffler in Ontario? The answer is no. It's you must have a functioning muffler. You have to have a functioning exhaust system, and you'd also be creating noise, unnecessary noise. So there's a multitude of charges that could be looking at. But something you should know: if your vehicle predates the laws requiring emissions, then you could. So if you had a classic vehicle that was manufactured and manufactured before the requirements of having a muffler, then that vehicle could be operated with no muffler. So if you have a Model T. I don't think there's a muffler. At least not a, I don't think there's a muffler on a Model T. Just saying. Who's Bob? Joyce wants to know. There are many Bobs. What is this? Shane wants to know, can police impound an out-of-province vehicle even if it's legal at its home area? For example, Quebec doesn't have emissions tests for it. We don't impound for emissions. We impound for stunt driving. We impound for impaired driving. And yes, we can impound any vehicle. There's no, but I'm not from here, so I get to drive home. No. If we impound your vehicle based on the laws, you're being impounded. Oh, so many things happening here in the city. What's everybody doing this weekend? Anybody doing something really cool? Share with me your cool weekend stuff. I want to know. What is this? Oh, what an interesting thing. Jake here wants to know, has there ever been any talk about Toronto version of the TV show Cops? We did, there was a TV show years ago, Behind the Badge, maybe it was a Canadian one. It wasn't a Toronto-specific version of Cops. It was just doing some ride-alongs, I think. I don't think it was very good, but it did exist at one point. I think it would be great. I think it would be really fantastic. But the days of privacy and sensitive everything, I don't know if it would fly. But I think it would be really cool. I think that people need to see more of what goes on in policing to understand the perspective of police. I don't think that someone who doesn't get to experience it and get that reaction, seeing really what's out there, understands. I loved Cops growing up. I don't think it was a motivation to become a police. Maybe it was a reason not to become a cop, because you see some pretty wild stuff. You see the dangers of policing. I recently saw a post from the Orange County Sheriff's Office, and again, I recently visited them, but I follow them on Instagram, and they had a video up where they brought in media, and we've done the same thing in Toronto. They brought in media representatives to try out police simulators, and it's amazing how that goes. Most people aren't ready for what life and experiences of policing throws at them. It's stressful, and that's ultimately what the response was. Like, wow. If you don't follow Orange County Sheriff's Office, and why would you if you're not someone who goes there? Check them out. Search them on Instagram. They had a really cool video. I liked it. And you can actually find the one from Toronto when we had a press day at the college. It's somewhere on YouTube. I see people make U-turns on a red light. Is that legal? Absolutely not. You cannot cross on a red. There are charges for that, and I would love to lay them, but I'm in the office, so I can't. But other people do. They do it. People act. I get to live vicariously through other people's writing tickets. Can a police ticket you or pull you over for avoiding? We talked about that so many times. Okay, deleting this. Okay, we covered that. Cool. Only a couple minutes left. Let's find some more questions. Someone says I ramble too much. Yeah, it's my show. I can ramble. Let's see here. Hey, Sean, I'm showing my grandkids how to magnet fish. What is this? I don't know anything about magnet fishing. Aubrey says I should get paid more. You can tell the chief. Let the chief know I need a raise. No, I'm paid very well, but thank you very much. Let's see here. I'm in Ottawa, and it's really hot here. I imagine, isn't it a couple of days of intense heat? Yeah. Can we add honeycomb stickers to our taillights? Honeycomb, if it's not reducing the amount of light coming out, may not be an issue. The truth is, if you reduce the effectiveness of taillights, not only could it make them illegal because there's a standard that must be met, but you may reduce the chances of notifying the driver who's about to hit you that you're there. Right? They're an effective communication tool when used properly. If you modify them and make them less effective, you might find yourself in a collision. You might find yourself bidding a charge. Definitely don't do, I just wouldn't do it, but they must be effective. You could possibly find aftermarket lenses that have some level, but are still, that might be a better way to go. I'd hate to be the person that gets into a collision, rear-ended, and have the insurance company inspect your vehicle, and they do that, and then say, well, look at this, you modified your taillights, and as a result, we're not going to cover you, because you, or a percentage. And Sergeant Campbell, who you may have heard walking by, he says he doesn't like them. Are security guards allowed to block your car? Depends on what we're talking about. Are they actively trying to arrest you for breaking the law and within their rights to arrest you? If they're just blocking your car because they're stopped and ran out of gas in front of you, I need a little more information. Let's see here. Blue kids? I don't know what we're talking about. Okay. Could a judge be wrong? I didn't see the rest of your question. What happens if you're caught driving under 16? Well, you can be charged for driving under or without a license, an unlicensed driver. So yeah, that's a problem. If you're driving without the permission of the owner, then you could be charged criminally for take vehicle without consent. If you're driving with the permission of the owner, then the owner could be charged for letting an unlicensed person drive. 90-30 speeding ticket, how long to get off record? So a conviction for speeding stays on your record for any offense, as a matter of fact, under the HDA will stay under your driver's license for 3 years from the date of conviction. Points that are attributed to that will stay on your license for 2 years from the date of offense. There you go. What do we got here? Someone's accusing me of ignoring corruption. I am against corruption too, so I don't ignore it. If I see it, I say something. I'm a police officer. I try and right wrongs everywhere. It doesn't matter if it's corruption here, there, or anywhere. I want to be a Dr. Seuss writer. That's what I decided. I got to come up with more rhymey stuff. Okay, it's 11:01, which means we're going to start wrapping this up. I'm scrolling around looking for one more question, but ultimately I want to wish you a very, very safe and happy weekend. I hope that you're doing something that you enjoy this weekend. I hope that you're safe. If you're going to be driving, please drive sober, no drugs, no alcohol, and know that we'll be back here on Monday if all cooperates and things don't go upside down and backwards for me. I plan to be here Monday answering your traffic and police questions just like I did today. And you know what? If everyone puts in a report saying Q&A is broken, maybe they'll actually fix it. It's not spam if we're all trying to get things fixed. Let's see here. Tracy says bye. Wait, bye to you too. Bugattis from Ghost Likes Bugattis. Is that? Am I writing that right? I don't know how to spell Bugatti. I can read it. I can decipher it, but I wouldn't be able to write it 3 times fast. What is this? After hours? Okay. If someone broke into my car and stole things, can I press charges if I have video? You can go to a JP and lay private charges. You can certainly provide it to the police and see what can happen. Hopefully they can identify somebody. But good things to have, especially for insurance, who would take that and justify what's going on. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Take care.